Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm going to talk about what keeps my hopes up for the world discovering what, in my humble opinion, is the truth about Dungeons and Dragons. So, I have this incredibly unique view of Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm doing everything I can to share it and say, hey, Dungeons and Dragons was never a game. It's not a game now. It's the most powerful tool you've ever been given from a secular source to make yourself a better human, make every single person at your table a better human, and and as an extension, literally reshape the entire world, based on tolerance and progressiveness and all the values that Gary Gygax stood up for and really carried forward in the world. And far more powerfully than that, these values that he used to change the world, and then planted the seed to make it so that every dungeon master and every Dungeons and Dragons player could be this transformative force in the world. And finally, Hasbro, I feel, has fully embraced this with Joe Manganiello coming on. This idea that Dungeons and Dragons is this transformative, powerful tool, not some fun little thing you cut goblins in half with, but literally something to change. Like, Dungeons and Dragons is a catalyst that is used to transform our society. Joe Manganiello said it flat out. He said these people have transformed their lives with Dungeons and Dragons, and correspondingly the cultures they live in. Right? This isn't just a concept I'm squawking about. This is being talked about openly in D&D Direct, right? Like we are getting there, right? But I want this massively accelerated, and I don't want this confined to Joe Manganiello's documentary, right? Like I want the world changed through Dungeons and Dragons, right? And just look at my comments. There's every day there's somebody saying, Scott, you're wrong. And there just never seems to be anybody saying, Scott. Well, actually, I do have one commentator who, is incredibly supportive. But I just don't have anybody who's all bought in. It's just, we're just not there yet. It's just not it's not there. We're not there yet, right? And so we reach this point, right, where we're progressing, right? And we get to a point where we have to determine, where that's the question is, I've failed so much, do I stop, right? And there are things that come along and tell me, just wait, just be persistent, don't give up, right? And so the biggest one right now is I'm a huge fan of Chelsea Fagan. I've talked about her channel before. She's brilliant, and she understands society and culture. And that's the point. Is I need to understand Dungeons and Dragons, but almost as equally, I need to understand American culture, right? What happens with American culture? How do we arrive in American culture at a point where the things I'm talking about are being where the things I'm talking about reach the point of where there's hope that they can happen. That's a good way to put it. How do I get to the point where there's a hope that these things can happen, right? So Chelsea Fagan said, look at this video, I linked below. I'll summarize it for you right now. She said, in one generation, right? The entire view of this one thing completely transformed, right? So one generation ago, 25 years, American women were like, oh man, I'm a kept woman. I have to escape this. Every day I have to wake up and this guy loves me and loves my kids, and he pays for everything for me, and he pays for all of my kids, right? And everything we need is paid for by him. But I got to make his breakfast, and I got to make his lunch, and I got to make his dinner, and I have to love him, and I have to love these kids. What about a full-time job for me? Where do I go out and crush it in the business world? I'm a kept woman. I need to escape this. But look at the video, right? Chelsea Fagan's like, in one generation, that has flipped. And now there are not a small number of women who are going, oh my gosh, I cannot get a guy to love me, give me children who will love my children, and then pay for everything I need and pay for everything my kids will need. I wish I had a guy that I could make his breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and my duties every day were to love him. And the business world can go kick rocks. I am aspiring to be a kept woman. We went from kept woman is something I need to escape to kept woman is something I am aspiring to be and is gone, is no longer in sight. It's not something that needs to be escaped. It's not even something that can be easily achieved. In one generation, it went from I need to escape this to women being, where can I possibly get this? One generation, right? In one generation, the entire thing can flip. Right now, ask anybody in the D&D community, what is D&D? It's just something fun. You get together, it's a beer and pretzels game. You chop goblins in half. In one generation. Dungeons & Dragons is a transformative tool that I use to make myself better and everybody at my table better. And then we go out into the world and we spread change and benefit to the world. One generation. It can happen.